The Universal One by Walter Russell. Prelude. The supreme service which man can render to evolving man is to answer for him, dynamically, the great heretofore unanswerable question concerning the one universal force which man calls God, or mind, or by other names. For long ages, man has impatiently awaited the knowledge which would tear away the veil from the invisible universe which lies beyond his perception, and bring it within the range of both his perception and his exact comprehension. Mathematical and measurable proof of the existence of but one mind, one force and one substance would give to man absolute control over matter, the power to create, even as God creates, and within the same limitations. Man is omnipotent when he but knows his omnipotence. Until that day he is but man. Voltaire said that man could never comprehend God, for man must be God to comprehend him. Man is God, and therefore God is within the comprehension of man. Man is mind. Man is matter. Mind and matter are one. God is mind. This is a universe of mind, a finite universe, limited as to cause and to the effect of cause. A universe of limitations cannot be infinite. There is no infinite universe. A finite universe, in which the effects of cause are limited, must also be limited as to cause. So when that measurable cause is known, then can man comprehend and measure all effects. The effects of cause are complex and mystify man, but cause itself is simple. The universe is a multiplicity of changing effects of but one unchanging cause. All things are universal. Nothing is which is not universal. Nothing is of itself alone. Man and mind and all creating things are universal. No man can say, I alone am I. There is but one universe, one mind, one force, one substance. When man knows this in measurable exactness, then will he have no limitations within those which are universal. He will then know that all knowledge exists within man and is subject to his desire to recall it from within his inner mind. Knowledge is not acquired from without, but merely recollected from within. The recollection of knowledge from within is an electromagnetic process of thinking mind, which is as exactly under man's control as is the generation of the same power to turn a wheel. Man must think in light. His thinking must be in terms of the electromagnetic periodicities which measure all motion, for of such is he himself, and nothing else. To know how to think in light from within is to open the doors of all knowledge. Omnipotence lies in perfect thinking. There is no power in this universe other than the energy of thinking mind. Thinking is the cause of motion, and the periodicities, or states of motion, caused by thinking mind are registered in light which man calls matter. Matter is light. Nothing is which is not light. We are prone to think that this civilization of ours is an extremely advanced one. On the contrary, man of today is in an exceedingly primitive state of his evolution. He is a bearer of heavy burdens, sweating at heavy labor in the bowels of the earth because of his pitiful ignorance of universal power which awaits only his knowledge to render it available for his free use. Knowledge of the one thing will lift the yoke which man has placed on his own shoulders. This knowledge is herein written down in the language of a new dynamic science of new concepts which are measurable, which explain the heretofore unexplainable. Language is lacking in words to express new knowledge. Seemingly contradictory words must be used in the hope that the intent will be understood by taking all that is herein written and putting it together, rather than in trying to find comprehension through the analysis of a few inadequate words in isolated paragraphs. For all those questions which lie unanswered within the heart of man, there is a dynamic answer, such an answer as 2 and 2 make 4. Faith and theory regarding the universal one need have no place in the thinking of man. They are wanderings in the dark. All things are answerable in light. The universe is a tonal one, a dimensionless universe of light. All nature is a series of orderly tonal periodicities of the one force, assembled into the complex idea of thinking mind, and registered in light, or matter, or energy in interchanging potentials, all of which are variable, yet comprehensible, and measurable states of motion of the one substance. All dimension is an illusion, an appearance, due to rising potential, which must disappear into its inevitable sequence of lowering potential, and again appear in endless cycles of appearance, disappearance, and reappearance. Ecstatic man is he who can think in those high octaves of the inner mind which has been termed spirit. Ecstatic man is inspired man of universal genius, of inner thinking. Inspired man is he to come whose thinking will be from within, in light, and it will be an ecstasy of thinking which will produce enduring things. That work which is created in ecstasy of inner thinking can alone endure. To think in light is not a new power being developed by evolving man. It is a power which is now within him, awaiting only his knowledge of the use of that power. It is merely the recognition by man of his absolute control of the many dimensions of the universal constant of energy which constitutes the thinking process of mind, exactly as he can control the changing speeds of his motor car. When man can change the low speed of his objective thinking in this universe of dimension to the high speed of his inner thinking where dimension disappears in light, then is he Superman. Then is he universal genius. Light is the universal language in which the divine concept is plainly written. Fundamentally wrong in its basic premises, and wasteful in its practice, man's modern concept of the universe must be torn down and built again on truth as plainly told in light. Primitive in his concepts, man divides the universe into the seen and the unseen, then finds himself groping in the dark, blindfolded, hopelessly trying to find the way to the door of the Holy of Holies. There is no unseen universe. The way to that innermost sanctuary of the Most High is as clearly posted as the Lincoln Highway, but man has not been able to read the plainly worded messages written all along the way in light. Man's most wonderful of instruments, the spectroscope, has told him little, for he has not yet learned to read it. He does not know that those many lines of light are but letters of the alphabet of light, in which the Universal One registers his mighty thinking in the universal language of light. The spectrum of iron is to man naught but the spectrum of iron. To the cosmic import of those many glowing lines he is indeed blind. Again, in helium he reads the lines as helium's lines, and sees not in them the plain story simply told of 6 new elements of vast import awaiting man's use in the easing of his burden. And of those most important of the elements, which man calls the inert gases, nothing at all is known except that they will not combine with any other elements. Oh, the pity of it! Wrong concepts of the atom's structure, and the modern electric theory of energy and its transmission, of conductivity, radiation, and gravitation, and of that electrochemical state of opposed motion called luminosity. All of these wrong concepts of motion and of matter must be remolded on truth. With truth comes knowledge, and with knowledge power to transmute at will, and simply plentiful substances of matter into those which are the rarest, to meet the needs of man. There is no substance which nature produces which man cannot produce, or synthesize, or create from apparent nothingness when he knows that which is herein written down and charted. Man's miracles of today become commonplace events of tomorrow. Civilizations come and go, exalted by man's thinking or by it plunged into the abyss of darkened ages. This message is for all mankind, and not for the few, for it is placing within his hands a power which could either glorify or frightfully enslave him in accord with the usage of that power. Either way it matters not, for in the end truth will survive, and man will complete his destiny. Truth lives. There is naught but truth, and that which appears to be otherwise has no existence, and therefore is not, nor ever will be. Book 1, Chapter 1, Creation, Divine Mind, God, Spirit, Creation, and the order of creation. In the beginning, God. There is but one God. There is but one universe. God is the universe. God is not one and the universe another. The universe is not a separate creation of God's. It is God. There is no created universe. Nothing is which has not always been. All created things are from the beginning. They have no beginning. They do not come into being. They are and always have been and always will be. Creation means to man the coming into existence of something which was not before in existence. Man's concept of creation is the coming into being of a physical, visible universe heretofore non-existent. The Creator is to man's mind a sublime being, separate and apart from man, who created the physical universe of matter, causing to come into being that which had not been. Man holds the concept of two universes, a spiritual and a physical. God is presumed to be of the spiritual universe, perfect. Matter is of the physical universe, imperfect. God supposedly created the imperfect physical universe separate and apart from himself. Man conceives a perfect and omnipotent God. A perfect and omnipotent God could not create imperfection. He could not create a lesser than himself. He could not create a greater than himself. God could not create other than himself. God did not create other than himself, nor greater, nor lesser than himself. In the sense generally understood by man, God did not create anything. Nothing has been created. This is a creating universe, not a created one. Man's concept of the sublime being as the creator of a material universe different in substance from the spiritual universe is a misconcept. God is all there is. Beyond God there is nothing. Superior to God there is nothing. Inferior to God there is nothing. Opposed to God there is nothing. Creation is not more, nor is it less than it has always been from the beginning. It cannot be more than God, nor can it be less than God. Creation is an apparent integration and continuity of that which already exists in substance. It is a periodic change of state of the one unchanging substance. It is evolution. Decreation is an apparent disintegration and continuity of apparently integrated things returned to that substance. It is dissolution. God is in reality and exists in substance. God is thinking mind. The substance or body of God is light. The one universal substance, which is God, is a tangible substance, a thinking substance, comprehensible and describable, and possessed of principles which are familiar to man through man's observation of the one universal substance in created things. The substance of all created things is light. The one substance of thinking mind is all that exists. The created universe is the registration in matter of the idea of thinking mind. Mind is expressed in light. Light is the storehouse of the energy of thinking mind. The energy of the universe is the energy of thinking mind. The universe is a universe of energy. Energy is expressed in light. Mind is the universe. Mind's substance is spiritual substance. Spirit is light. Spirit is the ultimate, the eternal, though finite substance. Spirit is not infinite. Nothing in this universe of motion is infinite. Man's concept of an infinite God, possessing infinite knowledge and infinite power, creator of an infinite universe of infinite extension, is not in accord with the laws of motion. This is a boundless, eternal, dimensionless universe of definite limitations both as to all cause and to all effects of cause. Dimension is an illusion of relation of effects, which are in themselves but illusions. All cause is comprehensible to, and all effects are measurable by man. A limited, measurable universe cannot be infinite, and a divinity limited as to his range of cause, which, ipso facto, limits the possible range of effect, cannot be infinite. Light is the living substance of mind and action. It is the creating principle of the one substance. The one substance is the etheric spiritual substance of the one universal mind. The entire created universe of all that is, ever has been, or ever will be, is but the one substance in motion, light. God is light, and in him is no darkness at all. John 1 verse 5. Matter is light. God and matter are one. Spirit and matter are the same substance. That substance is light. There are not two substances in the universe. There cannot be two substances in the universe. The substance of the universal mind is a living substance. That which man calls life is an inherent property of the entirety of mind. Light is life. There is but one life in the universe. The whole of the universe is but one living, breathing, pulsing being. There are not two lives or two living beings in the universe. There are not two of anything in the universe. The universe and all that is one. Chapter 2. The Life Principle. Life is the pulsing, electromagnetic oscillation of thinking mind. All life is immortal life. There is no mortal life. Life is a vitalizing property of all matter. Life is in and of all matter. Man's concept of life is not logical. Man conceives life to be a property apart from matter, quickening compound elements of inorganic matter into living, functioning, organic beings. Man defines organic matter as that in which life begins to function, imbuing it with vitality and intelligence. Man defines inorganic matter as those elements or compounds of matter in which there is no life, and in which there is no vitality nor intelligence. Man conceives life as spontaneously generated in matter at favorable temperatures and under favorable conditions. Such concepts are not true concepts. In searching for the life principle, man is attempting to discover something corresponding to a germ which quickens lifeless matter. Life is not a germ, and no matter is lifeless. Life is in and of all things from the beginning, always and forever. Life has no beginning. Life has no ending. Life is eternal. Life is in and of all inorganic as well as all organic matter. Life is in and of all of the elements, and the atoms of the elements, and the compounds of the elements. Life is in and of the sun of the atom, the planets of the atom, and the heavens surrounding the universe of the atom. Life is the effect produced on the substance of mind by the sequence of alternating electromagnetic pulsations which constitute the process of thinking. The progress of this effect is registered in integrating light, and manifests itself in that orderly periodic phenomenon inherent in all matter and all things which man calls growth. All growing things are imbued with the life principle. All things are growing things. All matter is evolving. All matter is growing. All matter is living. Life is merely the registration in matter of states of motion of thinking mind. The substance of mind has the appearance of many states of motion, which man calls the elements of matter. The elements of matter do not vary in substance. They vary only in their states of motion. All motion is periodic and evolutionary. All motion is motion in equilibrium. No other motion is possible. All motion has the appearance of being divided into opposites. These opposites of motion shall henceforth be termed motion in inertia and motion in opposition. All that appearance which man calls matter is motion in opposition. Motion in opposition is under either preponderantly electric or magnetic domination. It is a state of motion where pressures are unequalized and sustained in their state of unequalization by the resistance of the two opposing forces in motion. The point of maximum motion in opposition is the nucleal center of a unit or system where opposing pressures reach their point of maximum pressure. Form of matter disappears into motion in inertia. Motion in inertia is equally electric and magnetic. Neither force dominates. It is a state of motion where pressures are equalized. Man's concept of life is energized, organic substance. Man's concept of death is de-energized, organic substance. There is no death. Life is eternal. The one substance of the universe cannot become de-energized. Man's concept of life belongs to motion in opposition. Man's concept of death belongs to motion in inertia. Life belongs, in principle, to motion. This is a universe of motion. The cause of all motion is the dynamic action of thinking of the one universal living being, which man calls God, or mind, or by other names, all of which stand practically for the one idea of fatherhood, or deity. Thinking is a process, an orderly, evolutionary, periodic process of absolute limitations. All motion of thinking mind is born in the maximum high speed of the universal constant of energy. It runs the gamut of periodic and opposing deceleration and acceleration in 6 full tones, 1 double tone, and a master tone to each of 10 lowering octaves, and a variable number of midtones in each of the last 4 octaves. The 7 tones are those so-called elements of matter, which are improperly classified in the 8 groups of the commonly accepted Mendeleev periodic table. All effects of motion which cause the appearance of these elements is that which is herein termed motion in opposition. The master tone of each octave is the record of all motion taking place within the octave. The master tones are the turning points between reaction and action, just as the double tones are the turning points between action and reaction. They are the beginnings of each new expression of energy in motion, and are records of the old. They are the ends of exhalations and the beginnings of inhalations. The master time of each octave is the inheritance of the original motion of the thinking process of mind. These master tones are the inert gases, which are classified in the zero group of the Mendeleev table. The state of motion of these inert gases is that of motion and inertia. Motion and inertia is that state of pressure equilibrium which lies between any two masses. The inertial line, or plane, is that dividing line, or plane, toward which all masses discharge their potential. It is the line, or plane, of lowest potential of two opposing areas of potential where opposing pressures neutralize. This is the plane of minimum pressure of two opposing areas. The master tones, which represent a state of motion and inertia, and are the inert gases, bear the same relationship to the elements that white bears to the colors. They are a registration of them all. White is not included in the spectrum, it has no place there. The inert gases should not be included in the elements. They have no place there. Of this more shall be written later in its proper place. The 10 octaves constitute a cycle of evolving states of motion. This cycle includes the uttermost limitations of divine possibilities, and beyond it nothing is or can be. The cycle begins with the highest note, and descends the scale sequentially through man's unseen universe until hydrogen, the first element perceivable to man, is reached. There is no unseen universe. Those tones which follow hydrogen are man's visible or physical universe of matter, and continue into the 10th octave. Here, elemental integration and disintegration have ended the cycle by the attainment of the equilibrium of its beginning. All motion is oscillatory, swinging in sequence between two apparently opposing forces, gravitation and repulsion, which are respectively electric and magnetic. This oscillatory motion is a pulsating in-breathing, an out-breathing, an inhalation, and an exhalation, which is a characteristic of all matter, whether it be in units or systems of units or mass. These two apparently opposite forces are the father-mother forces of mind, which, added together, make but the one force. There is but one pendulum to the cosmic clock. All the so-called created universe of matter is but the effect of these two apparently opposing male-female forces exerting their opposition. All motion in opposition is both gravitative and repulsive. This is characteristic of all matter. Motion, at the inertial line, or plane where mass disappears, is neither gravitative nor repellative. Hence, the muter tones, which register effects of motion on this line or plane, should not be included in the table of the elements. All matter is characterized by periodic and alternating opposites of motion in sequence, each opposite being preponderant in sequence. Each opposite force is the cause of the other. Opposition is a characteristic appearance of all effects of motion, and has no existence other than as an appearance. In inertia, this appearance always disappears. Motion and matter must not be confounded. Matter, as man understands matter, is only an appearance due to states of motion. The creation of form in matter is the apparent integration of those things which are and always have been. The decreation of form in matter is the apparent disintegration of apparently integrated things. Creation is transmutation or integration of the one simple indivisible substance into the appearance of many complex substances and things. Creation may be likened unto the assembling of a few letters of type for the printing of a very complex idea. Decreation may be likened unto the redistribution of type after it has served its purpose of giving expression to idea on the printed page. Matter is light crystallized into the complex idea of this universe, exactly as literature is type assembled into the complex ideas of a library. Matter is the registration medium of light, just as letters are the registration medium of literature. Matter is light gravitationally assembled into the appearance of form, and radially disassembled into the disappearance of form. The assembling process is what man calls life. The disassembling process is what man calls death. Light exists as light always and forever. All matter is but a variation of the state of light due to variation of dimension of the evidence of motion in the wave by which all motion is expressed. To man, matter means the complexity of many substances and many things. Complexity and variability belong to motion and not to substance. There is but one unchanging substance. The appearance of change does not belong to substance, but to motion. Man lives in a universe of motion, a universe of appearances and illusions which deceive him, except for those simple, obvious illusions with which he becomes perfectly familiar. Man will stoutly aver that matter changes and that there are many substances, but he would not dream of contending that the moon runs along the road behind the trees as he runs. Yet one contention would be as reasonable as the other. Matter and mind and light and energy are eternal. They are constant. They are cause. Form and motion are illusions. They are fleeting. They are effects. Chapter 3. Mind, the one universal substance. Mind is the universe. It is all that is, ever was, or ever will be. Mind is a substance, a material substance. The substance of mind is the foundation of creation. It is the seed of the universe, and the seed of the universe is the whole of the universe. The substance of universal mind has no beginning, no ending, and no bounds. It is all intelligent, all powerful, and all present. The one substance is absolutely frictionless, temperatureless, non-compressible, non-expandable, non-absorbent, non-reflectant, non-resistant, and non-refractive, but potentially. It contains the appearance of all these qualities through the dynamic action of those opposing forces within it which cause it to be a thinking substance in motion. These qualities belong to motion and appear only through motion in opposition. They are not qualities which belong to the one substance. They are appearances which disappear in the inertial plane of pressure equilibrium which lies between any two masses. Hence they have no existence other than as an appearance of existence. The cause of the appearance of change of the one substance is through change of state, but change of state is not change of substance. Change of state is not an attribute of substance. It belongs to motion. It is an illusion of motion which creates the illusion of dimension. The substance of mind is the one prechemical substance which is the source of all the elements, and the compounds of the elements, all of which are but appearances. These appearances register the action of the process of thinking, and disappear back into their source of an absolute temperatureless state of motion and inertia. The material substance of mind is an all-pervading ether which is indivisible, inseparable, indestructible, unalterable, and unchangeable, but potentially it contains the appearance of all these dimensions of separability in the states of motion which register the dynamic process of thinking. The words spirit and ether are used to express the tenuity of the dimensionless universe, as solidity is used to express the compactness of the apparently measurable universe. States of motion and opposition cause the appearance of change from the state of motion and non-opposition, or inertia, into the appearance of separability into parts. This results in such effects of motion as heat, cold, color, form, sex, growth, valence, ionization, mass, gravity, radiation, and many others. These effects are not a change of substance, nor do they divide, alter, or separate the one substance of mind. They are but dimensions. All effects have the appearance of dimension. They are in themselves but dimensions of that which they appear to be. The cause of all effects is dimensionless. Cause is existent. Effect is an illusion of existence. It but appears to exist. Change of state appears to change the character of the one substance, but appearances have no existence. Man is accustomed to appearances. Two objects exactly similar appear dissimilar in perspective. This is a universe of appearances, all of which are relative, and not one of which would have even the appearance of existence without the relation of others. Without the illusion of separability, space could not be. Without events, time could not be. Without motion and opposition, neither heat, cold, color, sex, mass, or any of the effects of thinking could be or appear to be. Without the variability of motion and opposition, there could be no appearance of variability in the chemistry of the one substance. Man's many elements are but variances in states of motion and opposition of the one unchanging substance. They all appear to have separate and distinct characteristics of their own in varying degrees, such as melting points, specific gravity, atomic weight, volume, ionization, stability, valence, electromagnetic charge, axial rotation, orbital revolution, and many other characteristics, which give them the appearance of being separate and different substances. They are neither separately created individual things nor are they different substances. Their appearance of separability and difference of substance is due solely to the periodicity of states of motion and opposition. The universal substance of light is a material substance of variable motion, which is due to the variability of opposition set up by the two apparently opposing forces of action and reaction which constitute the thinking process. It is apparently shorn or torn into apparent particles of itself during the process of creative thinking, but actually is unseparated and undivided in the process of that shearing or tearing. It is without form, but potentially it contains all that man calls form. Form is but an appearance, an effect of motion and opposition. The greater the opposition of the two opposing forces, the greater the rigidity of form and mass, and the more distinctive is its appearance of existence. All of those elements between the third gravitational and third radiational tones, the atomic, structures of which are very much contracted in volume and represent motion and maximum opposition, are the hard, dense, heavy solids of great rigidity, such metals, for example, as iron, copper, gold, silver, manganese, nickel, and tungsten, the elements which form such compounds as granite, quartz, and flint, and those elements which form such precious stones as the diamond, ruby, and emerald. All these elements are made up of light units in maximum motion and opposition. They are very densely packed together in atomic construction and very closely integrated. Their electric and magnetic orbits are in spirals of one plane and are very much extended. Their melting points are very high. A study of the charts will show this clearly. The less the opposition of the two opposing forces, the less the rigidity of form and mass, and the more indistinct is its appearance of existence. All of those elements which, born near the inertial planes of their octaves, indicate by their tonal position on their octave waves a close relation to motion and inertia and a lessening degree of opposition, are the softer, less distinct substances. Such elements and compounds as lithium, bromine, sodium, chlorine, salt, sulfur, potassium, iodine, tellurium, magnesium, strontium, and rubidium are formed of light units of less potential energy. The atomic structure of these elements is not closely integrated, but is open, nebulous, and very much expanded. Their electric and magnetic orbits are in spirals of many planes, approaching nebulosity in appearance as their position nears their inertial planes. Their melting points are very low. A study of the charts will show this clearly. Form, therefore, is not an attribute of the one substance and has no existence other than as an appearance. Form, like time, space, mass, color, weight, temperature, and other effects of motion, is an attribute of motion only, and in no way an attribute of substance. Bubbles whirling in the substance of water have form. Their form is but an attribute of their whirling motion, and is not of the substance of water. When the motion ceases, form disappears, but the substance remains. Creation is merely a swing of the cosmic pendulum from inertia through energy and back again to inertia, forever and forever. It is but a series of opposing pulsations of action and reaction, integration and disintegration, gravitation and radiation, appearance and disappearance. The one universal mind is a formless, thinking substance. If the one substance were not a thinking substance, that which man calls creation would not have been. That which man calls God is an ecstatic thinking substance, thinking in continuity, thinking rhythmically, thinking with orderly variation of intensity in measurable impulses throughout endless ages, in endless space. Thinking is an action which is the cause of all motion. It is a process, a purely mechanical process, periodic in its evolution through one cycle after another without end. The process of thinking leaves the evidence of that process behind it, registering the effect of its passage through the ocean of the universal mind. In its wake are myriads of rotating particles of the one substance which register the thinking of mind, just as in the wake of an ocean steamer are myriads of tiny rotating bubbles which register the passage of that steamer. The many bubbles in the wake of the steamer produce an effect of foam in the ocean's substance which appears to be different from the surrounding substance. It is the same substance, but of less stability. The whirling bubbles of foam owe their appearance of stability to motion. When the motion ceases, the bubbles will disappear. The wake of the steamer is an appearance which we know will disappear. It has no stability. It has only an appearance of stability. The bubbles are apparently separate individuals possessing form and motion which are apparently their own, but which we know are not their own. Their appearance of separateness, we know, is but an illusion due to force and motion. When the churning effect of the propeller has been dissipated, foam, bubbles, wake, and all will disappear into the mighty ocean of which they are a part, and from which they have never been separated. The passage of all thought through the tranquil ocean of universal mind may well be likened unto the passage of big boats, and little boats, and all the winds of heaven upon the tranquil ocean of waters. The passage of all these forces leave their effects, in appearance upon the ocean of waters, registering thereon in foam the idea of those forces. Without the exertion of these forces upon the tranquil waters, an absolute uniformity of appearance would prevail throughout the ocean of waters. Without the force of thinking throughout the tranquil substance of mind, there would be no appearance of variability whatsoever in the universe of mind. There would be no form. The distinct spiral nebula of Perseus, or the trail of the Milky Way looming against the ocean of mind, is exactly analogous to the foamy wake of a steamer as viewed from a great height. Both the wake of the steamer and the nebula of Perseus are appearances due to the passage of ponderous ideas, and both will disappear back into the substance of which they are a part. The myriad whirling spheres of the nebula, its integrating suns and solar system, its planets and moons, its asteroids and meteorites are all whirling forms born of the churning propeller of the one mind thinking out this universe of ours. Similarly, the whirling spheres of the steamer's wake, with its big bubbles, its lesser bubbles, and its milky foam, are a line of white against the deep blue sea, but not separate from the sea in substance. The temperature in the wake of the steamer is higher than that of the surrounding water. Similarly, the temperature of the spiral nebula is higher than that of the surrounding ether matter because of the heat energy generated by thinking and transferred to the whirling spheres. The law governing both bubbles and nebula is the same. The difference between them is only relative in point of time. Both disappear when they cease to whirl, for their appearance of existence is due solely to the heat energy of motion. A bubble may whirl for a few moments, and a sun for 100 billion years before their generated heat becomes radiated into their father-mother substance which gave them birth. The difference in time is but relative, for time is nothing in eternity. When the bubbles have radiated their heat to the temperature of the surrounding water, they cease all appearance of individual existence. Their forms have disappeared with cessation of motion, but their substance is as existent as the ocean is existent. When giant suns have radiated their heat to the absolute zero of the surrounding ether substance of mind, they cease all appearance of individual existence. Their forms have disappeared with the cessation of motion, but their substance is as eternal as mind is eternal. Stay tuned for chapters 4 through 6. Much love, respect, and blessings.